Welcome back to Inside YKTR, the little show where we take you a peek behind the curtain, all things happening here at YKTR and YKTR Sports. And of course, as usual, it is brought to you by Kelly Partners, Isaac.
Best accounting firm in the game. I'm out there tomorrow all day working on budgets for next year and just getting some advice from him as well, rolling into tax time. So hit him up, Kelly Partners, best in the game.
We put all of his information below, so if you're in need of a bit of accounting work for your business, whatever it is, hit him up.
Danny the Goat.
Danny the Goat. Speaking of goats, Lukey, the goat of the edit. You did it. Magic Bender, congrats, bro.
We did it.
We did it. Let's just touch straight off the bat. Obviously, Isaac and I spoke briefly about the Magic round on the show and go yesterday, but obviously you were the one up there, bro. We were down here watching all the fun times. How was it overall, bro? And then we'll sort of get into a little bit more of the business and content side of it. But how was Magic weekend, man?
It was incredible. Just like we say it sometimes when we're in the office, you don't realize, we just press upload and you just let it go. But then when you're actually out and about and people are coming over and taking photos, I reckon we would have took 300 plus photos of the people that actually wanted to get photos. It was just crazy. So
what's it like when people recognize you now? Because I know I've always been big into Gary V, but I remember people used to go oh, Gary V's cool, but I love D-Rock better, And
yeah.
you're that way inclined, aren't you? More creative side?
A little bit, yeah. I did tell a lot of people, no, I'm not taking a photo with you. Take a photo with the boys, sort of thing. So
you got to realize that there's a lot of creators that probably look up to you in this sort of space now. You know what I mean? So
yeah. There was one at the party. I had a good chat with him. He's like, "How do you do it?" I'm like, "I don't think I do anything that crazy. I just think I can find the right answers to what I'm looking for when I'm trying to do something." On YouTube.
You're very good at self-education, which obviously is a rub-off of what Isaac does. The thing that always is incredible about you, obviously your speed is insanity, and I've told you that before. You need to calm the fuck down because I can't keep up when I'm trying to learn. But it's your ability to, instead of just going, oh, I don't know how to do that, like a lot of us do. If Isaac said, hey, bro, Jackson, can you Photoshop my head on this a million thing? I would have gone, bro, I don't know how to do that, right? But you would go, okay.
Yeah, you can figure it out pretty quickly.
You go, okay,
yeah.
give me a chance. So I think that's probably when people look at you and go, how do you do it? And you go, oh, I'm just going off what I see on YouTube.
And do you know what the other side of it is? And Caleb will learn this and you'll learn this. We make so much content that you just kind of pick things up as you go. And we sort of talked about this last week where it's kind of it's like Karate Kid where you get that sort of education without even knowing it. You look a year from now, you guys will be able to talk on business, on creative, on fucking a lot of things. But it's just because we move so quick, you pick up and you just do reps and reps and reps. And for a long time, it was just me and Lukey. And I was like, fuck, Lukey, can you do this for me? I need you to do this. And he learned it. And then I know you just kind of look up and you got the skill set that a lot of people admire. So it's like you start trying to explain it now, you're like, oh, I don't know. It's just, it feels, that's what it's like, bro. Because we work so fast and quick and we've got a lot going on. You just get these skills up pretty quickly.
Well, with the vlog, I'd had it edited in my head before we'd even got on the plane.
Yeah, that's important.
We spoke about that last week, when we were talking about Caleb, the way you and I shoot in that respect is very similar. As we're shooting, so you don't just get a bulk load of footage and then crush it down into create your story.
It's the worst way you can do it.
You storyboard in your head. A lot of our stuff, to be honest, isn't storyboarded too far in advance. It's probably storyboarded on the spot, but you're going through it. You can almost drag and drop every shot in order that we've shot it in. It's very rare that you or I, we both, that was why it was easy to watch you edit that thing, because you were just going in order of what you shot. There wasn't a whole lot of flipping, and I think that's important. Otherwise, you're doubling your workload.
I think the next sort of evolution from it is when you're filming up there, put it right down into a short window where you actually are filming, and then you do your rough cut straight away. So you go, all right, boys, this is the time we're going to be filming from 10 to 12. I need you guys to be doing this. And so you get it all into one time, and then you spend an hour doing a rough cut. And then when you're rolling on the Monday, it's kind of always half together, and it's just not that fucking...
I was legitimately saying they're up there, but in the room and whatnot, there was nowhere really to sort of sit there and have a little station to do it. So I was saying that after Saturday, I was talking to Chick, I was bro, I reckon I could start chopping this together ASAP, and then we started doing stuff. We ended up out with Justin Taffer for a while and everything like that, but I was I just knew yesterday we were just going to get it done, and I just wasn't leaving until it was.
I remember when we done that when I done Normie's game day one, when he had the droppy, and then when I went up and done Chico's one as well, it's once you're filming it and you know it's just going to be this fucking mad piece of content, you're that keen to do it. And I remember all the boys went out. I just remember sitting there just getting fucking, yeah. You just and you kind of want it out to be, you want it out quick because it's still relevant at the time. So yeah, it was mad. It was sick.
Even the music, that's all songs every Uber ride, one of the 5 songs, apart from the Kid Cudi song, but that was always in my head. I want to do the Project X sort of party scene at the end. But all those songs, like we were in Ubers, like vibing to that Beam song at the start. Then obviously Cole dropped his album on Friday, so wanted to include two of my favorite songs off that. I think it's sort of just like, it felt really, I think Natasha or someone texted me last night saying it just felt really on brand, and I'm just glad that it hit that way.
It was also different. It wasn't like, and I said to you when we were in there last night and you were saying, all right, one last look at it. And I went to sort of have some critiques of it, but it wasn't like a traditional sort of real quick vlog pops like we typically do. It was a long form piece of content. So long form Lukey absolutely nailed it. But you, that's
you don't want to be there all the time. No way. That's a long day, man. The old
Lukey. But that's another thing. Like circling back to what Isaac said, that's something that you haven't done that before here. You haven't done a massive long shot like that. So that's another thing that you say, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not just trying to gas you up, but like you learned that yesterday while you were doing it. That's a new style of content that you had to do. And I know you had it in your head going forward, but it came out pretty mad in the end.
Did. A lot of stress. When you came back in, I was like, Jackson, I need that memory card and blah, blah, blah. But
sweating.
It's not a vlog edit like that unless there's a bit of sweat going on behind the scenes. So I'm glad everyone enjoyed it. Thank you for everyone that came up, bought me beers, boys beers. We had literally the best time. Chico was like starstruck to the point where it was like, which in the B&E bacon egg vlog, which will drop today, which is like, I wanted to keep that. I was going to keep it in at the end. I'm like, nah, that's a good way to drive traffic to the bacon egg vlog. The reactions.
We've got a few of those backed up, eh?
The one I included in the back of the car, I put that in the vlog because it was kind of a giggle and the boys were heaps hungover. It was like on brand with the vlog. But the one we had on Sunday, the one that'll go out today, it's like probably the best bacon egg I've had.
I think we got one of Caleb's as well. Still in the chain.
Yeah, we got a couple. We got
two or three. Yeah. So we got a few of them.
Boys are organised. We're getting
in the locker. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Amazing weekend.
Grateful.
Even like all the players, like be like that know who I am and be like, hey, Luke, you love all your stuff. Like that sort of like, it's humbling, but I don't look into it too much. This is what I do. So
get down, keep working.
Get down, bum up.
I'll come back to you because I want to ask Ice this question first, but it kind of is relevant to you as well. What about the sort of lessons learnt from the whole weekend? So obviously you're the skipper here. You were down here in charge watching all the chaos unfold. What about from a business perspective? And obviously these are your friends as well. So on a personal level, what kind of lessons do you take out of that experience?
All positives, to be honest. Like it's something that we've always wanted to do. Like I initially wanted Chico, and like when I always thought about YKTR, because I never want to be like even though I love to drink and stuff, I don't really want to be the guy traveling around and partying and doing that sort of type of stuff. Like I'm more way this inclined. I enjoy being in business and doing my own thing and hang around myself. But like it was all positive. So I initially wanted Chico and Corey to be those guys, but obviously with football they can't really be those guys. So in terms of characters, I think Scope and Simi have slid in and done a really good job of that. So it was mad. And like to have ex-cargo ring up after 10 minutes, go, oh fuck, you probably have to go and take that thing down because there's too much people like coming through. Like it's sort of
you guys weren't even at the airport and you got the email.
Yeah, it sort of justifies what we're doing here. And like Luke, you said before, like, and I've always said this, I don't realize how far content goes because a lot of the time we're in here and we just press enter and fucking just send it out there, and then if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So it was all positive. Definitely do a lot more of it. I think it justifies that subscription model that we're going to build out pretty soon. So, for example, we could have made that like a little bit better for a certain member, sort of stuff like that. So I'm thinking those ways. Obviously, Scope and Simi are really, really good. I think they've got their head around what we're trying to do here, and they'll get a lot of the upside of it as well because they'll be on camera a lot. So, man, it was all good things.
What about lessons in the way of content? Like you've obviously been there and done it now.
We need more people. Yeah. That's the simple.
Well, it's the same question to you. Like if you were to do it again this weekend, what would be different or how could it be better? Not that it was not that
I think it worked the way like I was straight. Even when I was on the plane, I'm like, did I get enough footage? And then when I went back and watched everything, I'm like, nah, I got enough footage. Like so. And
the boys had never really travelled and vlogged before. Like that was a big part of what we done for YKTR with the two boys very early on. Like because we were always travelling, so I always had a camera, and like the same lessons I'm learning, like he learned on that trip, I'm learning now. Where it's more so just like, oh, let's put all that cool stuff into a certain window, and even if it's just one part of it of the day. You can, and you know you got heaps coming. Yeah, you can be a lot more efficient with it.
You also said that to the boys like before they left. You said, "Listen, get your work done and then enjoy yourselves." Like because you don't want to be a sort of a prisoner of the moment, and that you're just trying to capture which is why I think when you said you need one more person or another camera up there.
Yeah.
If Luke which I'm sure he was because it's Luke, was just lasered in the entire time and trying to capture content, you can kind of lose because it is an experience. You lose the experience of going up there and doing it. But
You're spot on. You do lose it because there's times, bro. There was a time I went to New York one time and I fucking don't even remember being there.
You see the whole thing through a lens.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what angle can I get? Oh, like this is gonna be a B-roll, and I was going across fucking Brooklyn Bridge, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like in New York, so you start to lose that. And I know it is a work trip and stuff like that, but you do want to cram your work in and enjoy your time after.
You can see that in the montage edit. You can see like the phases of my night filming that. I was just going around the first round. I was like, hey, everyone, just be a bit rowdy, skull, drink, do whatever you want. So it's like you'd see me doing a lap and there's people sculling, dancing sort of in front of the camera. And then I'm like, okay, it can't just be that. So then I'm like, what can I do? All right, go round. Are you Team Scope or Team Glizzy? And then people were telling me, they're Team Scope, I'm Team Glizzy. And then all of a sudden you've got like 15, 20 minutes of footage to chop down into a little slow-mos and everything like that. And like, and then but it still made it feel like it was the whole night. But that was only sort of probably like all done. I'm like, we got in there at 10. I'm like, I want to have all the edit done by 11.
Ideally, bro, if I was thinking about it from like now, you'd have one guy that controls storyline, like does the A-roll, and then one guy that just focuses purely on B-roll.
Yeah.
That'll be like the goal. And then say like day one, this is what we do. Say it was you or Caleb, I was like, this is where I want the B-roll here. And then what you do, you do the rough cut, he'd do the B-roll cut, and you sort of combine them together. So you'd have your storyboard out and like, Jackson, I need a B-roll here of going from plane from Sydney to Melbourne. And then I need a B-roll from here doing this and this, and I need it to be 15 seconds long. And he's like, if you want to be really efficient and change that 12-hour cut down to a 3 to 4 hour cut, that's how you do it.
Yeah, we kind of did the kiddies version of that when we were shooting the boys in their merch. Like we had one person shooting.
And it was quick, bro. That day, how much content did we pump out that day?
That was easy. So I shot the B-roll,
Wait,
rough chopped it. Yeah.
I fucked after that day.
But I shot the B-roll, rough chopped it, dumped it with Caleb, who added all of his polish, but he already had shot the stills, so they were ready to go. So Luke edited those photos, had them all scheduled and ready to go. And that's why the sort of merch content rollout for us, which we're going to sort of roll into now, was a lot easier because, speaking of the kid, because we had it all done. It's like we crammed that whole workload into fucking a day and a half pretty much.
Yeah.
But just on the merch, because that was kind of the hard business element of it.
Wait, sorry, bro. Wait, Caleb, can you get some photos as well while the boys are on there? Caleb, the intern's just rocked up. So
make sure you get my good side, bush.
Straight on the tools. Yeah.
The merch, obviously, Lukey mentioned as well, Team Glizzy versus Team Scope was obviously the big part of the big storyline of the weekend. From idea to execution, talk me kind of through the business model of a trip like that, because it's not cheap to send the boys up there, obviously. So
No.
There's got to be an underlining business element to this whole thing.
And it is like you want the boys to like, you don't want the boys on fucking Jetstar worrying about if they're going to catch a flight and stay in shit joints. Like the two joints that we could have put them in was actually a backpackers, or the one that they stayed in, or the other one was like a house like 20 minutes away. Yeah. So like obviously we took the like more expensive option, so the boys are comfortable and you want them to be. But like my mind always thinks business first. And like if you're going on a trip, like there's got to be a reason behind it. And branding and marketing and getting touch points is all great parts, and getting content as well. But it does have to make business sense as well. So, and that's from a bottom line standpoint. So say if we doubled our money in revenue, once you pay taxes and pay the boys and all that sort of stuff, like does it actually make sense? So in that sense it did. And I think the narrative between Scope and Semi is ones that we've been trying to build up for the background for ages. Obviously a boxing fight would be the pinnacle where the boys probably could actually make some money, and we could do some advertising and stuff through it. All that stuff was like super interesting. So it was our first sort of experiment of it, but that way we can really calendarize. So Magic Weekend next year, like we can start planning out like 6 months, or we can get some really fucking cool merch
and have the event like planned.
We'll be here doing this, and then that gives me time to save up money so I can send fucking the whole crew. And instead of one camera guy, we've got 3 or 4 camera guys. You know what I mean? We can do a bunch of different things, and then that way Scope can go do something, and then Simi can go do something, and then I can go do something, and we've got our own camera guys is there as well. So it was an interesting experiment. So I'm glad we went through it, and I'm glad it was a bit of a success, and it's got my mind wondering for more things.
Speaking of the hotel, like in the group chat, it felt like we were actually going up to the backpackers.
Yeah, that was Natasha. I was telling Natasha to do that.
Yeah. So we get there and we're like, I'm like, this is like the nicest place. And we're just in the foyer. And then it was on the Friday night, which was like, it felt like all the immortals were there. Like Billy Slater, there's Jonathan Thurston all in the lobby. On the Sunday, Gal was there. You see Gal and Honey?
I saw that, yeah.
So Gal was up there sparring for the weekend. So he was staying in the hotel.
That was obviously staged, right? Because they sort of
they tried
cringe. They tried to gas it up.
Cringe.
They were like, oh, he's had anywhere to sit, and he sat right behind Gal, and I'm like,
with no one around him.
Yeah,
All right, man.
exactly.
Yeah.
Nah, so it was, that was a giggle. And we're like, literally the 8th is here.
Yeah.
It was insane.
The 8th, and Simi calls himself the 9th. Way too early. Scope versus Simi boxing predictions. Who you got, guys?
I'll probably go Simi,
You reckon?
Yeah.
I reckon Scope's got him for cardio for days, man.
Yeah, but if you gave him like a 6 week, like you can get fitter in 6 weeks. I don't know boxing whatsoever. I don't know boxing whatsoever, but I'm looking at them two. I'm going, I feel like Simi looks better here.
Yeah, a bit more athletic.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go Scope.
Fuck, it was funny when Chico clipped, but that was not accidental. That looks
Clipped him.
It just went, and then the fake face. Fuck, that got me.
Yeah, there was plenty in that.
Plenty in that.
Get out of the kennel.
Save it
boys.
for 10 and again.
Speaking of Scope versus Simi, obviously on Inside YKTR, traditionally the boys have copped a bit, but they've been super impressive of late. I think we can all sort of give it up to them, both from a content and a business perspective, and both
Been
are
awesome.
both very keen, which I think is the biggest shift. Well, it's not even a shift. They've always been keen, but
They're just not erratic.
they're not erratic. They plan shit almost to a point where like it kind of catches me and Luke by surprise. Sometimes we're like, fuck, that's right. Simi's got 2 podcasts booked in. And he's like, yeah, he told you on Monday. So they've been very impressive.
He has done that, eh?
But he's actually he's
not
onto
reading
it,
my messages, Beauty.
yeah.
Nah, those boys have been awesome, and like obviously I jump on here and I've criticised them in the past, and like everyone kind of thinks like I'm picking on them, and they're like, oh, well, what would happen if they left? And I'm like, fuck, I'll be pumped. So anyone that's sort of been in YKTR, like, what do I say? I was like, while you're in YKTR, I want you to build up your personal brand as big as possible.
You've always said that.
I've always said that, and I'm like, Jackson, start a side hustle, like. You haven't started one, but I've told you how many times have I fucking told you?
Hundreds of times.
I go, Lukey, I need you guys to start your own side businesses. Like, I try and build you up and teach you as much as I can while you're underneath this umbrella. And sometimes there's things that I'm not going to like, but I reckon some people look at Craig Bellamy and go, fuck, he looks like a big fuckwit, but he's just trying to get the best out of the boys.
He does all right at that as well.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, the boys, like, I'm not having signed a contract with any of the boys. They don't have to stay there if they don't want to. They're free to leave whenever they want if they get a better offer. But it's just kind of like I see us like Melbourne right now. Like once you're coming up, you don't leave Melbourne onto like you're ready until you got that
big Warriors money, man. Stay here. Keep
winning. And like people like TV and stuff like that, and that's where the money is. But we're kind of like a little bit of ahead of our time, where that they could go work for a network, but we are the network right now. So the internet's not going anywhere. This type of YouTube type of content is not going anywhere, and they've got the freedom to be exactly who they want. So they can get on the piss, like, you know what I mean?
The biggest thing, and Luke, like you'll touch on this as well, the biggest thing and you would have seen being up at Magic Round, is people just want access to these boys. They want access to Scope and Simi, and what a podcast like allows you to do specifically is like you feel like you're just sitting in the room with people, and that's all people want when it comes to those two in particular. So the more we build them up, like, this is the closest thing, anyone listening to this show right now, you may as well be sitting across the table. Like, it's super intimate. We're not editing this. Like, and Scope and Simi are the same. People just want access to these boys now. And the best platform, I don't necessarily think the best platform for them to do that would be a Channel 9 fucking traveling show. You know what I mean?
We're going to be the best platform. Like, we're going to build this thing out like a lot bigger. And like, I know we're very Scope and we talk about this a lot. We're very Scope and Simi centric right now.
We always say it with the mag, very scopey today.
Yeah, and like that's the way it is. The boys really enjoy being in front of content. Their content's really good. They're really relevant right now. People love them. But eventually, there's going to be more people coming in. There's going to be more staff coming in, and it won't just always sort of be like that. Like not a one-trick pony, but entertainment-wise, they're for us right now. They cover that aspect for us, but there's going to be a bunch of other people coming through as well. And like I said, like I see us, like even if they did boys leave, it'd be like Matt Burton leaving Penrith. Like, fuck, he's an absolute gun, but like I want to try and recruit some more people. You know what I mean? I want to give people a platform where they can grow. And a lot of people that are listening to this right now, I challenge you guys to think of one person in your friends group that you think would be great on camera. Like, I think a lot of people would be able to think of at least one person or know of a person that's sort of funny.
Yeah, everyone's got someone in the group that you're like, bro, why don't you have a podcast? Why don't you have a TV show?
Of course. And that's what I mean. Like, that's the next part. Like, the great thing about the internet and podcasting and YouTube, it's allowed people that weren't famous to become famous just by putting out content. And if I'm being fully transparent, I don't think any of us are that special. We've just had the balls to go out and do something and make content and put ourselves out on a limb and and get hated on. You know what I mean? Like we're no different to anyone else. But I think that's part of our charm as well. So people look at us and they go, oh, they're kind of like us. They're just like us. They're not like these guys on TV. So I think a lot of people see us and go, oh, I could definitely do that. And it's a part of our appeal.
And they think they could definitely do that because they could.
Yeah, I fucking know.
You absolutely
could. Like, and like, to be fair, it's not easy. Like, it looks easy, just
content fatigue is real, man.
Got like the shiny light.
What was that comment the other day? The lifestyle brand of doing fuck all or something?
Yeah. This guy goes, a brand built upon lifestyle doing fuck all. It does,
bro, you want to do the editing, bro?
Yeah,
sweet.
it does look like that. Like the boys are having fun, and that's what I mean. Like Scope and Sydney, they get like a lot of the upside because they're in front of the camera, and then we're sort of behind doing all the stuff. But that's just the way it is.
You've already got Jerome and Cleary, man, so Matt Burton can fuck off. You obviously ideal like the way our
so just run off the back of that. But a lot of this has come off the conversations like me and Luke have had like a year and a half, and you've been a part of those conversations as well. Like everything that we've tried to build or talked about in the past, it's like kind of coming to fruition now, like the types of vlogs we're doing, the humor-based content, like that sort of stuff as well. And it's like, it has been like a year conversation, but now it's just going, oh, people are starting to recognize it. But they just see it for what it is, not the 12 months before it or the meetings that we have our coffee before it or stuff like that. So it's cool to see it from the back end because we're like, oh, we kind of knew this was going to happen.
Bro, there was the middle of a pandemic. We were sitting on Zoom calls talking about how we could take a business that kind of half didn't exist.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean?
Like this didn't really exist.
No.
Like, it's fucking crazy. It's cool.
Yeah. Obviously, you like the way our work flows for people who kind of don't know, split more or less. I handle a lot of what Isaac's stuff, and you obviously deal more with the boys. You're the kind of first touch point with the boys. When obviously we touched on then Simi and Scope have been very impressive from Isaac's perspective. What about you, who kind of has to handle a lot of you're the first point of call before they go to the boss?
Yeah, I think it's been fine today. I think it probably could be a bit more direct. I don't probably speak up sometimes. I just head down and just do my thing. So I think one thing I need to improve on is probably being a bit more assertive in that sense and taking a bit more ownership of that.
They're big personalities, man, like the boys. And they've never really been in like a work environment before. So like obviously we're filming this at like 6:30 this morning. But once the boys come in, like all our attention goes to try and help them, and obviously that helps the brand as well.
Simi sucks up a lot of oxygen.
Yeah. And like
it's fun, man.
Yeah, it is fun, but then like the boys get distracted as well. It's like, shit, how can we like sort of harness this in a little bit? So I might throw his desk in the corner or something. So
put him where those mirrors are. What about just having staff in general? Ice, obviously, this is something where you've gotten to a point very quickly now where you know, you've been responsible for running a football team before, but it's a bit different when you're the one paying us. So you've got a small team here now.
Yeah.
With plans obviously to expand pretty rapidly. You keep talking about it. So
bro,
how's that been?
I was having coffee with Corey yesterday, and I was like, bro, last Thursday or Friday, I was just in my office. And I was going, what the fuck?
And we were all out here.
Yeah, it was all out here, and everyone's like working towards like a sort of a common goal. So, bro, it's weird, bro. It's so weird. And like a lot of people think I got my shit together in terms of business and entrepreneurship. Bro, to be honest, I'm still learning it.
You seem to be, and you'll probably correct me if I'm wrong, because I know a lot of your stuff is planning, but you also create momentum first, and then you sort of plan off the back of that. Is that fair? Or I'm not very well planned out. Well, it's not that. It's like you see that we need more of this, so you hire someone or you bring someone in, and then after that, you figure out how you're going to make it all work business-wise. Because it's like you even saying then, I can already tell when you were talking about Magic Round, then you're like, we need a second camera. I guarantee you the next place we go, there's going to be 2 cameras there, whether you can...
You're trying to get on, Jason. He's trying to get on.
So I brought my passport in.
You got me behind with the camera. Like, I want to get on this trip too.
But that's what sorry. Go.
No, to be fair, like in terms of like your leadership and whatnot, that's probably the most nervous, or it was like a cross between like emotion and nerves when you were giving us the envelopes before we left to the airport.
Fuck, it was a nervous energy, eh?
Yeah.
You were nervous, I could tell.
Nah, because I thought about it so many different ways. I'm like, how do I approach this? And then like when I thought about it, I was like, bro, I'm talking to 28 to 35-year-old men. Like, you don't want to get babied.
Speaking of 3 of your mates as well, like 4 of your mates, but
yeah,
you know what I mean?
But like, so we sort of talked about leadership. Like, I think I'll pull away from like some of my French, besides Chico and Corey, who are like my best mates, and like we do everything together. Like, say Scope and Simi, like I'll pull myself away from, like I'll still be their friend and stuff like that, but I would need that very clear line of like, yo, like I run this, and then here's our friendship here. And like you can have both, but they can't sort of be.
I think
like, say someone like Simi, like I could say something like serious in a business manner, and he would just like like pay me out. Like it's
Yeah, he
know
doesn't.
what I mean?
Like, he doesn't say
know
the same thing to me probably, and I'd understand which ice I'm speaking to at the moment.
Yeah.
For him, it's all
it's all
into
one thing. Yeah, so and like say for us, like we went out for a beer Friday. I'll fucking hang out with you every day of the week. But like there's that nice little healthy respect of working relationship first.
Oh, like, you know,
and you guys have come from like
that's what I was about to say. Luke touched on it. Then we can tell very quickly. I can tell that after 5 p.m. on a Friday that I could pay you out and we can have a beer.
Yeah,
And
I'd rather you
tell
guys
that
pay me out. Yeah.
between 7 and 5 p.m. on the Monday that we're here to fucking work. So
Yeah.
I think that's just an adjustment for the boys who haven't worked in that environment before.
And it's hard, like, because I might have to have the conversation with, like, because I love Simi, like, he's the funniest cunt ever. Yeah. But I'm like, oh, bro, we probably just can't hang around as much anymore, right? The thing with Justin, and like, and I was talking about this with Corey yesterday, because I had this same conversation with Corey, like, because he's come from a professional sports background, it's like, and I obviously I probably would swear, but if I went, fuck, Scope, you dumb cunt, like, what are you doing? Like on the football field, it doesn't carry over after the whistle.
Yeah.
Where me and Scope, and Scope does his own thing, bro. Like me and Scope don't hang around all the time. Like we're good mates. I've known him since I was 15. But like we do run club together, and then we might go for a coffee every couple of weeks. But he's got a girl right now. He lives a low key lifestyle. Like he loves being low key. So it's not like we're like all like buddy all the time. Even though we're still really good mates. But I think there's that healthy relationship there between me and Scope work wise as well.
Yeah. Sorry, were you saying something about
No, I just
Scope?
love it. Because he was like sleeping on the plane and like sleeping in the hotel. This bender lifestyle.
Yeah, he's low key.
Can you stop having magic flashbacks like that and staring off into the distance?
I just keep having them. Nah, fuck, some of the stuff, man. It's just
a lot of stuff you didn't capture, I'm sure.
A lot of stuff, but
like in terms of staff, like I see us. Like obviously Caleb's doing interning here. I see like if we had like another 2 to 3 of those types of guys where they're purely just like that's their passion, photography, all that sort of stuff, bro. It makes everyone else's life a little bit interesting. And then obviously like I was talking to you on Friday, like how do roles adjust and how does payment structures adjust. I think like transparency is always important. And a lot of people say I give away too much information, especially from a business standpoint, but I'll be like, oh, Jackson, this is what's happening, and this is how I see your pay going, and if we can work towards this, bro, this is what's going to happen.
But see, this is something that you probably didn't know as well. That conversation we had on Friday was fucking so healthy for me to know where I'm at. You don't get that in typical corporate structures, I'm telling you right now. So what would happen in my old job was every 6 to 9 months or every quarter, you'd have a what do you call it, like a review of some description where you'd catch up with your boss and they'd say, how are you finding everything?
Yeah.
You know, blah, blah, blah. You'd tell them.
But I was just thinking that on the run this morning.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to get to when I say you just create momentum like that. You have a thought, you have a conversation, then you start planning it out from there. And it's fucking healthy, man. Like I walked away from that going, like you get that last little bit of juice to work. Not that you ever need encouragement in this place because obviously it's fucking fun to work. But it helps, man.
Yeah, and the other side of it as well, like so if you think someone like Scope and Simi, where like I see everything that goes on YKTR work-wise, and I know the boys get a lot of credit right now, but they've also got a lot more upside than you guys because they're talent,
of course.
their class as talent, so they could move into brand deals and other shows and sort of stuff like that. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys go, oh fuck, there's not going to be, I can't be on like fucking podcasts and go get multiple streams of revenue and don't jump on a job that's got a ceiling on its earning capacity and not provide those opportunities for my staff as well. So I think like that as well. So obviously got to make a bit more money first, but yeah,
got to make some more money, man. Make more content, which means maybe a few more podcasts under the umbrella. We're gonna sort of. I want to
segue. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I know, but a host of doom.
Yeah, you are. You actually are. Very good.
Luke, I'll start here with you because obviously you're the content fucking maestro here. But Isaac sort of mentioned last week as well. In fact, you might have been up in Magic Round. Oh no, you were here. Wanting to bring more shows, more talent, more podcasts outside of Simi and Scope, as well as Simi and Scope under the umbrella. That's kind of the natural progression of what you and I have been talking about for fucking 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. There's so many like little niche markets that I see white space in. Like, even texting with Harry Wilson yesterday, I was like, mate, need to get
You boys of Harry, eh?
Yeah, he's my boy.
I'll just get that name.
Yeah. No. I was like, bro, I'm the only Aussie in the office, bro. I need some. I'm sick of this AB's geek chat that's going on all the time.
I said Stance yesterday, so fuck, you're rubbing off on me.
Yeah, so I think that could be a little play. I think especially, I know I really enjoyed watching that Super Rugby final and then the Super Rugby Kiwi final weekend too.
Yeah, but like Australian rugby at the moment, so like bad.
Yeah, I agree, but I still think like there's
still storylines in there, 100%.
And that's the angle, obviously, that I'm where my mind goes. It's like, well, you got characters out there that people don't know that they're just as talented as all the leagueies. They just don't get the same sort of credit at the moment, I don't think. So that's
a very obvious gap for us. I think from just a pure storytelling perspective, like if you want to hear some fucking incredible personal stories, and then they end up playing footy, which is cool. But like the rugby players, a lot of the Kiwis and a lot of the Aussie players as well have amazing, Chico-esque fucking blindside stories that you just don't hear because they don't have platforms like this. So
and then there's obviously like the players in music that we could talk to, and I think that's kind of cool the way that 10 in the Ken's not drifting, but the boys are keen to get a bit more up music within the podcast. We've chatted what that looks like in terms of like a Spotify playlist and driving traffic towards that. But obviously you've got your mate Jade that's doing big things in the podcast music world at the moment, which is quite
interviewed that
Saweetie.
Saweetie,
yeah.
I was like, who? I didn't even know who that was, bro.
Yeah.
But that's the girl that used Quavo.
Treat yourself to a Google search of that one.
Yeah. Once you showed me all the songs and stuff, I was like, oh, I know this chick.
Songs. I didn't know she sang.
Yeah.
Anyway.
She was
my best friend.
She was early days with Gary Vee.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, she did. Like,
she dated Quavo.
Yeah.
She was on one of Gary V's when, like, before she, how Gary V's like 12 months ahead of who's going to be up next.
Yeah.
She was on that.
Fuck, I want to be that guy. Eh?
Yeah. So we could be. Literally, we actually could be. Like, I used to run a blog called The Wall of Sound where I used to like go through the internet and find like
some random shit
music. Yeah, I've done random shit, man. So I used to just sit on Triple J, find all the bands that are up next. I miss going to gigs and stuff like that. So once the timing's right, we can shift and diversify the workflow around here a little bit more. There's a lot of things that we can do.
That's so funny. Lukey actually has produced a song. You just haven't heard it yet.
That's true. I was on Triple J, but we don't need to dig into that.
We don't need to dig into that. Isaac, what about bringing other talent under, bro? You kind of touched on it last week, but I think it's worth kind of, hey, Mello, diving about. Yeah, Mello could have his own show. What sort of lanes do you want to sort of dive into, man? Is it too early to kind of have a crack at that? Or
music, food, culture are kind of my big ones, and we sort of touched on last week, but that she knows built off the back of that as well. But like my biggest inspiration actually comes from Barstool, and there's a show called the Dave Portnoy Show, and like when I probably learn more from that than I do anywhere else, like at the moment, because it's kind of what we're trying to do. But they had these two guys on where like they identify talent, but they're big enough of a platform where they can just bring them in straight away and put the ads platform behind them. So I think the next spot for us is really nailing the ad platform. So
I don't mean to interrupt you. I think when you said then in terms of bringing in staff as well, like if we're starting to have a look at this sort of 12 to 2 year plan
that's
and you mentioned we need 4 more Calebs, I completely agree. You've got to bring ads in house as well.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the natural progression of any media company. I use air quotes there because like I think
we're
an entertainment company first.
Yeah.
And a lifestyle brand obviously.
So close too, man.
We're so close, yeah.
We're kind of that 100 Thieves model as well, where it's like we started as fashion. So like if you think about it, like if Fox Sports started making hoodies, like I don't think too many people are going to be wearing a Fox Sports hoodie.
With that big logo.
So yeah, we've pivoted in such a really good way where it doesn't affect our main sort of golden egg, as you could call it right now. So, but yeah, in terms of like talent, like I just want to be the best media platform here in Australia that provides the most positive media out there, because there's so much negative noise, and we can do that through like a lot of different things. Like we're never really going to be that. I always said that we're never going to be that gossip thing, but I don't think we can be reactional to like a lot of like TV stuff, because it's like that Shameless podcast is a perfect example of.
You've been dabbling in that a little bit.
So you guys told me about it, and I was like, "Fuck, this is like weirdly entertaining to watch." There's something mind numbing about mind numbing fucking entertainment that's easy to watch, and I think the thing around it is that people takes away from their normal life. So I think Simi would be a perfect guy for.
It's Scream Simi. That's
the stuff like that. Like there's so many options where Simi can take, but but ads is an important part. Speaking of ads, must be listening live. But yeah, it's just like, but once we can get money into the system, like we can pivot in so many directions, and that'll be my job to fucking allocate the money in the right spaces.
Finish the podcast studio, make some money,
Yeah, and like, we could probably rent this out like straight away. So obviously, hanging around accountant, Danny the accountant, is who this podcast is sponsored by. You start to think like a little bit differently, and you think of numbers like kind of first.
Yeah,
and that was very much the example of that magic trip. Like if that was 2 years ago, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I'm coming too.
Yeah.
Like I would have spent fucking bulk cash and not clipped any tickets or anything like that, you know what I mean? So now I kind of think, fuck, does this make sense as a business? And then marketing, and then move from in that direction there.
And luckily it did make sense.
But in terms of saying I want to make another 5 podcasts by this time next year.
Yeah. Covering all those spaces, what you said. Food,
We need to hype up Barely Ballers a bit more, man.
Oh yeah, that's on me as well. I'll dive, like, that's an obvious lane that we already occupy. We just don't push any.
You need to
Traffic
film
to
it, like film it and then look up at the TV style kind of
I
thing.
want to get Ali vlogging as well, like blogging rather, like get a full scope across that, because that's the American sports lane which we love, that we already cover.
Massive market. EPL is another massive market. We could move into
AFL.
UFC's huge. AFL.
Me and Lukey could talk for fucking 4 hours on the
Like
UFC.
who's a fucking funny union guy? Like surely there's got to be some kind out there that's
The Blues media guy. It's like there's no there actually used to be a podcast called the Rugby Roundup that he used to run here in Sydney, and they used to do a lot of what's the feed it? So I don't even know. Underneath the Waratahs, was it Shield?
Yeah, shoot Shield.
They used to do a lot of round the ground stuff like that.
Oh,
That was fucking cool.
They're the best games to
and
go
then-
out to
and
on
then
a
out of-
weekend.
Out of that, he got headhunted by the Blues. You know, you talk about Simeon Scope. It was the same sort of thing. He had this little niche thing, which I reckon had a fucking massive.
What's his name?
Upside, Jared.
Is he still going?
Yeah, he's still at the Blues. Yeah, he's a good cunt.
So he's from here.
No, he's from Auckland, lived in Sydney.
Yeah.
He was a teacher, and they started the Rugby Roundup podcast, which is actually, even if you go back and listen now, it's fucking hilarious. Harry Wilson was on it and stuff, your mate.
So you need to like that Dill Buckley of AFL, but
that's what those guys were, and then they got headhunted and both went their separate ways with the respective clubs.
Have you listened to that Batuta one yet?
Which one, the union one?
They just launched it. What's it called?
Yeah, I know they've got one. No, I haven't.
I think it's linked with Stan and stuff, so I don't think it could be too like.
So like, obviously Dill Buckley's leading the AFL space. Like it's kind of like Denner led and like there's got to be someone else underneath there. You know what I mean?
There's a gap, boys.
Comment below.
Yeah, if you listen to this, comment below. And we sort of
guy.
talked about that. Like our jobs eventually might be flying to fucking Melbourne and trying to recruit these guys, and why you guys should be underneath the YKTR umbrella. And this is the ads that we can do, and just get someone filming. So I don't know. There's heaps of spaces we can go, and obviously I love talking about it here because if that does happen, we can wind back and clip it.
Even it was cool, like gassing up the
very
Chicks and
Gary V
Balls.
that, eh?
Yeah, it was
You're
cool.
going to clip this in like 2 years.
It was good on the weekend gassing up the Chicks and Balls podcast as well.
Oh, yeah,
another
fuck yeah.
underrated one that's
Yeah,
floating
they're
about.
cool.
So,
They're cool.
3 gun chicks that Marley chick's like very smart. She's in the
Super articulate, eh?
what's that?
She the ice of the crew.
Yeah.
That what's the Aboriginal where they get all the boots done for Magic Round? That Cultural Choice Association.
Oh, is she part of that?
I think she's heavily involved in it. So
Do you know what the balance is though? Like not having too much like footy, because then you become like Fox League, and then like there's so much content that's pumping out. You're like fuck.
Oh, Fox League. What else could they do? They're literally Fox League.
Yeah, stand corrected.
So it's no, but I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is you don't pigeonhole yourself like.
And Denon talks about that as well.
Yeah.
He goes, oh, like I was like, any other footy ones? And I know he kind of gets Hello Sports, but they sort of use his banner and stuff. But he wants to be like the main guy in his space. So.
Shout out to him getting the that new Cam Smith show.
Oh,
with
that's cool.
SEN
eh?
Network.
Does,
too.
does anyone listen to AM radio? Like,
I'm about to.
No,
how do you get onto that? Do you just press the button and it goes FM AMA?
Yeah, it sounds rank in the car. I can't stand it. But the SEN radio, they've built that purely for podcast.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
that makes
it's
sense.
a whole podcast thing, and they just happen to be a live radio outlet as
I
well.
was like, fuck, that's going backwards.
Yeah. So they texted me ages ago about trying to link back when Finchy and stuff, and then I was like, oh, Scope could be part of this as well. It's the
Skipper in the prayers.
Skipper in the Prez on SEN.
Gone. Well, the Denon and Cam Smith thing makes so much sense because you've got the guy with the footy IQ of doom and all the cachet in the world, and then you've got sort of the larrikin, but also low-key knows everything there is to know about footy.
He'll steer him in the right direction,
yeah,
direction with questions,
like,
and that's really important.
Kempy's going to be fucking locked in on exactly how that show goes, and then you're going to have the greatest ever do it, fucking chiming in with a bit of footy knowledge. So
it'd be interesting because like sometimes like a lot of the great players don't really transition that well into TV, and like you probably could name a few right now.
Yeah.
Like just because they're gun players doesn't always transfer over, but I think he's articulate enough to make that show really,
Seems
really
to be
good.
a bit of a larrikin as
Yeah,
well.
yes,
He's got
fucking
that
no, bro.
giggle
They
in
reckon
him
he's
and-
one of the loosest cunts ever on the piss. He just doesn't go out.
yeah.
Like, he'll get blind in the team room, boys will come out, then you have to come back in and drink with them.
Yeah.
So
I've
fucking
heard
love
that's-
hearing
yeah,
that
it's
shit.
good
Lukey,
story.
you think you get mobbed for photos? I reckon he might have you pip there.
Maybe not in Brisbane.
Maybe not in Brisbane. We fucking run Brisbane. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there for YKTR. Inside YKTR, we obviously got the sailing program coming up. Plenty more content coming.
Big day of content today. Obviously
Big
got photo shoots going for the sailing program, so that's going to be cool. Got Caleb in, and then the 2 boys are coming in as well. So we're trying to get us 3 get our shit done now before fucking chaos starts.
Have
So
a coffee, man.
see you guys later. Let's get a coffee.
7:30, man.